honeysuckle soup on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Schenectady today. Capital Region today. I was Schenectady today for 20 some odd years. I can't get that off my mind. We are Capital Region today, and I'm so glad that you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup. It's really, I have such incredible guests, and we're going to be starting out with our first guest, which we'll be talking about the Schenectady schools, their Hall of Fame. From there, we're going over to Albany to talk to the president of the Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences and find out about a new nanotech center that they're located in and find out about that. That's very exciting what we've learned about that. And then we're going to hear about Alzheimer's Association and what they're doing and how they're raising money and what that money is used for. So we'll have quite an in-depth discussion on Alzheimer's disease as well. And then we're going to be talking with our next guest, which he's a mindfulness coach. And what is a mindfulness coach? Gee, I'm not sure. We're going to find out when we talk to Nicholas Clay. Very exciting segment that will be. So I want to thank you all for watching, and we're going to start right out with our first guest. I have Robert Pezzano on. He's been on before. He's with the Schenectady Schools Hall of Fame, and they have a reunion every year. This year is no different, although, you know, we're dealing with COVID, so I'm sure there'll be some restrictions, but we're going to find out about that, and I believe it's going to be at the Glen Mansion, I think, if I got that right. But anyway, with him, he's brought a legacy tribute recipient as well. So let's talk to our guest. Hi, Robert. Good to see you here today.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, so tell us what's going on. First of all, we're going to talk about some of the inductees, and then we're going to be talking with you, who are you're going a legacy tribute, right?
Yes.
Basketball?
Basketball, correct.
Yeah. Linton High School?
Linton High School, yes.
You were the undefeated?
We were an undefeated team. Yeah.
Wow.
Had a nice group.
That made you feel good, right?
It really did.
And still now does.
It still does.
It still does.
Yes.
So we'll be talking in a moment with you as well. So let's talk about the recipients of the inductees and how they're chosen.
Well, we have a committee. We meet a few times a year. We actually have a list of nominees that's over 200. At the first meeting, we narrow it down to maybe 8 to 10 people, and then the committee leaves, does some research, asks questions, comes back, we come back together and we vote on it, and we come up usually with 3 individuals to be inducted, and in recent years we've been doing a legacy tribute, which is usually a team that had significant accomplishments.
Yes, and I would say that your accomplishments were pretty amazing. Yeah. So this year you're having 3, and we're going to be talking about each one of those. Who would you like to speak about first?
Ed Alger.
Ed Alger, and he was a runner, right, or track?
Yes, great
track.
runner at Mount Pleasant in the early 50s.
Okay.
He was state champion in the mile. He won the sectional mile championship for 2 consecutive years. He also was the cross-country champion for 2 consecutive years.
Wow, wow.
He won meets at Fordham, Utica, Proctor.
So he went on to college to continue with his track.
He went to Syracuse, and he was on Syracuse cross-country teams that finished 2nd and 3rd in the nation, and he finished 41st and 46th in the individual event.
Wow. And I think, is that him? I can't see very well. Is that him?
And I think they put
No,
up
that's the
Burnham
wrong
first.
one. Okay, it's Alger. I think it should be, that's Burnham. Okay. Well, anyway, there it is. Good.
That's at Alger.
Yeah, okay, there he is. Okay, so this is the gentleman that we're talking about right there.
Yes.
And you do like a board on him, on each of the inductees, is that correct?
Yes.
And who does that?
Tony Cristello. He's an artist extraordinary.
Okay.
He's been with us for all 23 years. He does a board. So we have about 69 of those boards now. We display them in the trophy case at the high school. And they're just really nice. And we bring all of them to the dinner, at least in recent years we have.
Wow.
And, people can walk through and see former teammates, former coaches.
Yeah. And do
get an
they
idea.
stand by their boards?
We do have a few inductees that come
That will
back
and stand
they
by their boards.
proudly stand by their board.
Yeah. Oh, and
From time to
it's
time.
really kind of a nice way to reconnect with people as well.
It is.
You do that. Okay, and then we're going to talk, who's the second one that you're going to
Al Burnham.
Al Burnham, and he was going to be here today, but he couldn't
hoped
make
to
it,
be
yeah.
here. Outstanding football player at Mount
Football,
Terrace High School.
okay, and I think, do we have
50s.
that? Yep, now there we have them up there,
There it
yeah.
is. Al was on 2 undefeated teams at Mount Terrace. One team outscored their opponents 277-6. And the other year,
Did you, wait, say that number again?
277
How do you
to
make
6
277 goals? I mean,
points?
you must be just kicking it right over those goalposts,
Yeah,
right?
they were an awesome team.
Yeah.
No one really came close to them.
Yeah,
They were
wow.
Very dominant. Big question is, how did the team get the 6 points?
Well, I don't even want, I'm sure that they were just beaten down emotionally and physically, trying to figure out how to beat this undefeated team almost, yeah.
We actually honored that team in a legacy tribute several years ago, and we invited the fellow who scored the touchdown from Philip Schuyler against
Oh,
them.
did
And
you
we had a lot
really?
of
Did
fun
he
with that.
come?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's-
good.
It was right here in this room, actually.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, the
Okay.
dinner was here for a few years.
Okay.
The second year that they went undefeated at Mount Terrace, they outscored their opponents 193-33. Al scored 4 touchdowns in a game against Troy. He also was a great baseball player, played on 2 championship
Oh,
teams
he was
at Mount
baseball as
Terrace.
well.
Yeah, and batted .500 as a senior, and then he signed with the Dodgers. And in the very first pitch of his first at-bat in minor league baseball,
Wait a
he hit
minute,
home
this
run,
is a football player
who played baseball, too.
who played baseball. Isn't that unusual?
Sometimes there's an overlap, but yeah, it's not always that you get a football player playing baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that Wayne Gretzky now, from hockey, is now playing golf, so I guess that would be an easier transfer, you know? But football to baseball, it seems like you use different muscles for those.
And Al also was a wrestler 1 year, and he only lost 1 match, so he was a phenomenal.
What a
athlete.
guy,
Yeah.
what a guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then
You have the third one.
the third one is Joe Zlizniak,
He was a
shot putter,
Yeah,
and an extraordinary shot putter. He still holds the Section 2 record.
really?
And it's over 50 years ago that he set that record. He was undefeated in both his junior and senior years, won the sectionals, obviously, each of those years. He won the Eddie meet, shot put twice, won the discus once, won the Eastern States shot put in 1969, as well as the discus in 1969. Was a very dominant shot putter. Also played football and baseball at Mount Pleasant.
Well, it seems that if you're an athlete, you're an athlete, and you seem
Right,
to
Joe
kind
was
of,
an
yeah.
athlete, yes.
So you're, what they, in theater, they call them triple threat, when you can dance, sing, and act at the same, you know, all, and so these guys do, they're triple,
Yeah.
quadruple threat sometime.
After high school, he was once ranked as the greatest shot putter, or the #1 shot putter in the eastern United States. He won
Wow.
all kinds of meets, represented the United States overseas, finished second in a meet against England, and he competed in the World's Strongest Man competition that was on TV quite often. years
Really?
ago.
I
Yes.
did not know that, and all the way from Schenectady.
Yeah, right here in Schenectady.
Yeah.
I think Chuck played Little League Baseball with him.
Yeah, so now Chuck, we're going to bring you right into this conversation because you're a legacy tribute. You're going to receive it for the team,
Yeah,
is
on
that
behalf
it?
of the team, the teammates, many of our teammates will be there.
Oh, great.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so what position did you play in?
I was kind of like what they call a small forward, maybe off guard, small forward. We didn't really label the positions quite that
Oh,
way
you didn't? Okay,
years
you just
ago.
kind of did
Yeah.
what you had to do, yeah.
Big guys, little guys, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I
and
was in
at that
between.
time, were they still giving a three-pointer when it?
No.
I didn't
played-
think
yeah.
so, because that was way back when.
Yeah,
They,
the game's changed quite a bit since 1970. There was no shot clock. We had a jump ball at the beginning of every quarter. There was no three-point line, so it was a significantly different game.
yeah, I know. Do you still play?
I do not.
You don't even have a board in your
I
in
do
your
have a basket
driveway?
in my driveway, and I feed my grandchildren. I pass the ball to them and let them shoot.
Okay. Do they know about their grandpa?
A little bit, not too much, just enough.
Yeah, they should be proud of you for being on that team. And how many were on the team at the time? I know that how many
Yeah.
are on the court, but how
Yeah,
many are on
no,
the
I
team?
believe we had 12.
There were 12
Yeah,
because,
we had 12 guys.
Are they all going to be there for the meeting? Or, I mean,
Well-
granted, some people are move away or retire and
Yeah,
stuff.
most of them are going to come. Sadly, 3 of our teammates have passed away. But those who are still with us, most of them have indicated that they're going to come. So I'm hopeful that they all will.
Wouldn't that be nice to have a?
It-
Are you all going to wear your jerseys?
It certainly wouldn't fit in my case, but I'm not, no. we're hoping to get together a little bit before that.
And maybe toss the ball a little bit,
Yeah, toss the
like
ball
those
and-
Harlem Globetrotters do, just pass it.
Tell those stories that get better every year.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably do.
Right.
And the number of points you scored might be inching up a little bit, who knows?
Yeah.
But that's great. So let's talk about the event. In the event, you're going to be, of course, with your teammates that are going to be there.
Yep.
And I'm sure you'll have a lot of stories to tell about those bus rides and what happened after them. Well, we won't go there, right?
Not the bus rides. They were pretty tame. I'm hoping to, in the time that I speak to the people at the event, just recall what they did as individuals and then what we did collectively as a team. 'Cause
Yeah.
all of the guys contributed significantly to.
Well, it's a
making that
team.
great team.
It's a
Right.
team. I mean,
Correct.
you've got to work together,
Yep.
or it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
If one person wants to be the star, forget it. It doesn't work that way. So the event, tell us about when the event is going to be and who can come. I mean, there may be people watching and saying, I've always been a sports fan. I'd like to go and just kind of see what's happening with
Well,
the
it's
sport.
become a reunion. We have many people return year after year.
Yeah.
So.
Is it open to the public?
It is open to the public.
Okay.
You can call 518-346-9297.
Okay, and they
get
can
ticket
give their ticket
information.
information.
Yes.
And
it's
was
at
I
Glen
right about the
Sanders
Glen
Mansion
Sanders
on
Mansion? Yeah, that's what, yeah.
September 13th, there's a reception at 4:30, dinner served around 6, and then the induction ceremonies will begin right after dinner.
Do you find that people kind of hang around after or meet the following day? Or, I mean,
Yeah,
when it
there-
seems you get a reunion like this,
As-
you kind of want to, share a little bit more about, to talk about the team for you, Chuck. You can talk about the team, but don't you kind of want to know, and other members want to know, well, what happened to you afterwards?
I
Did
think
you go to school? Did you get married? Did you have kids? What's going on?
It'd be nice to catch up with the members of the team. As I said, many of them I haven't seen in pretty close to 50 years, so it'll be
Really?
It'll be nice to see them again.
So you've kind of lost track of some of them.
Some of them, yeah, not all of them, but
Yeah.
some have stayed in the area. Those guys I've seen from time to
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
If I could add something.
Yeah.
They were undefeated. They ranked number 1 in New York State.
That's
Only-
not shabby.
Only one team came within 10 points of them.
Okay.
They were led by an All-American center, Sidney Edwards, who played at Houston and with the Harlem Globetrotters, and they were coached by...
He played with and here I mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters. I didn't realize that,
And then they
yeah.
were coached by Walt Prislow, who's a legendary coach
Yeah.
around here and is in the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah.
it's quite a team, and they do have a really good following coming to this dinner, so, already.
How exciting. Now, how many do you expect will be there? I know that Glen Sanders will only hold about 300, but under COVID, I'm not sure what the restrictions
We
are.
actually meet with them tomorrow to go
Okay.
over some of the details, but the sales have been steady. People want to be part of this.
Yeah.
event, So,
Do you get, I guess I should ask, do you get officials from the school system to come? Like, will
Yes.
the new superintendent be
he
there?
plans to be there.
Annabelle
He's been
Sobel,
invited, yes.
Solar,
And he will-
Solar, I think
yep,
it is.
yep. He will actually say a few words as well.
Yeah. He seems like a pretty interesting guy.
Yes, and I
was-
believe he has a little bit of an athletic background, or he does have an athletic
Yeah,
background.
he's coming on my show in a few weeks, so
Oh,
we're going to be
great.
talking about his visions for the school
Yes,
system and
yes.
what's going on there.
Right.
So, yeah, there's just, and Schenectady has a great background. When you stop to think, there was Linton, and there was Knott Terrace, Mount Pleasant. I remember, because I went to Scotia High, and we were playing, these schools, although I think maybe we were Section B and you were Section A, I'm not sure how that worked. But, we followed you, went to your games and everything, so that was kind of and now there's only one school, right?
Right. Originally, there was Schenectady High School in the early 1900s, and...
Oh,
that
there
be-
was,
no,
okay,
that
then,
be-
because
that-
I remember Knott Terrace, because I
Yeah.
lived on Eastern Avenue,
Well,
so
that
it was
became
right
Knott
down.
Terrace in 1931.
Okay,
Mount Pleasant opened in 1931, so that's when they went to the two schools.
they split the two.
Right, and it stayed that way until 1992, when we formally merged the two schools and became Schenectady High School
Well,
again.
what happened to Linton? When,
Linton is now Schenectady High School.
oh, okay.
Mount Pleasant is a middle school, so...
How things change.
change.
I don't know.
You-
That's why when you get together, you're going to find out how things have changed in their lives as well.
You probably remember the football games.
Oh, my gosh.
All those years.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Election
yeah.
Day game, that was a
Oh, they
big
were at
event.
Mount Pleasant, not Terrace? Oh, my gosh, those were brutal. It was like, the game, who's going to win? And yeah,
There's a lot
yeah.
of-
Yeah, but there was rivalry, but it didn't seem like it was a vicious rivalry. It was a rivalry of teams.
Yeah, I mean, you knew each other somewhat. The athletes maybe played baseball together
Yeah,
as
yeah.
kids, but boy, for those 2 or 3 hours that you're out on the field.
Yeah,
you're
we're going to beat you
gonna
guys.
Make sure you want to win. And we have
277-6. We're going to do that.
There you go. And we actually have inductees from the original Schenectady High,
Oh,
way
really?
back.
Yeah.
Including somebody who was a catcher for the New York Yankees in 1927, when Ruth and Garrett were playing. So
My goodness.
there were some very good athletes at the original Schenectady High.
Yeah.
And we, as you know, 2 years ago, we were here with Willie Dean.
Yep,
He-
yep. And
he
he was on my show afterwards
Right.
because he's a writer.
He's the
Yeah.
author, yeah, and he
Great
was the-
guy, really
Yes,
nice guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And he actually is the first new Schenectady High inductee.
Yeah. He writes children's
Modern
books.
one. Yes, he
Children's
does.
books. Isn't that amazing? Amazing. Yeah. So you guys need to write books. Who knows? First of all, I want to thank you so much, Chuck, for being here. It's
You're
such a
welcome.
pleasure
Thank you for having
to
me.
have you here on the show and to meet you and know that you've an undefeated team there.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to finish up with you here. So the event is going to be held on September the 13th. Is that correct?
September
And at
13th.
4:30 is kind of like your reception.
Yeah, people do not have to be there at 4:30, but
Okay.
the fact that it's a reunion, people enjoy seeing one another, and it's very difficult, it's challenging actually to get them to come into the dining room and sit down.
Oh, yeah,
and
because
start
they
to-
just want to
they-
kind of
They
be,
sometimes see people they haven't seen in 40
Yeah.
or 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's become a fun event.
yeah, it's really nice to know that you continue this and you do it every year. And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show every year
Well,
to
thank
talk
you. We
about
have a
it.
wonderful committee that,
Yeah.
puts this all together,
Yeah.
including Tony Cristello, and, it's.
And great panels that he puts together.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's tremendous.
Yeah.
He's
Thanks so much. We'll see you next year.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
next year.
Yes.
New inductees,
Yes.
new legacy. Who
Yes,
knows?
yes.
Thanks, Robert. Always a
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me.
We're going to be talking next to President Greg Dewey from the Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Yay!
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me back on. It's
Yes,
been a couple years
it's
since
been a
I've
while.
on.
Well, of course, we got a little bump in the road in between. But you have some really exciting, well, first you've done things with hometown pharmacies, you've reached
Right.
out. You've had a vision with the college to spread out and to get into the community and have your students get out there.
Right. It's a very strong vision of, basically, it's experiential education. It's learn by doing. We want our communities to be, our students to be part of the communities. We want to, see boots on the ground type things. And now this latest part is becoming part of the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, that's amazing because you've always had Shakar Musso was, and is he still with the college?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Dr. Musser, he has our Pharmaceutical Research Institute. He has a small spin-off company trying to develop a cancer drug. And that was
That's
about-
on your campus, though.
that is
Sort of on the campus?
It's on the east Greenbush. We rent space.
Oh, you
at that
moved it, okay.
complex there.
I don't know why I thought it was there, yeah.
And so we've had that research component, but this component is a different one. It's really based on manufacturing.
The biopharmaceutical, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and this is an area of the pharmaceutical industry that is just growing leaps and bounds. Biopharmaceuticals are taking over the pharmaceutical.
Well,
industry.
because we've gone from chemicals to, now we're looking at markers, we're looking at DNA, we're looking at genes.
It's getting
We've
very
done that
sophisticated, and I can see you're keeping up with it.
well, actually, I'm a graduate of, but anyway, but
And we're
the-
very proud that you're a graduate, too.
But when we look at like cancer treatments for breast cancer, and now we're looking at BRCA, we're looking at the different
Right.
ways, how do we treat, if we can treat diseases specific to the individual, you have less side effects, you have less problems, you're not doing a shotgun effect.
That's right. And that's what biopharmaceuticals are, as you alluded to. Traditionally, the pharmaceutical industry has been about small molecules. It's about, creating things like penicillin, these natural products, but they had the organic chemists would come in and say, oh, if I change this a little bit, it will
Add a
be-
little radical over there, yeah,
But they always have side effects.
yeah.
And with biopharmaceuticals, it's using your natural things that your body produces anyways. They're complex molecules, usually proteins. They have to be bioengineered. But probably the most significant Biopharmaceutical we have is insulin.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Um,
We've had that for years.
We've had it for years. That was the first gene to be cloned,
Yeah.
human gene to be cloned, and that's a major industry. But
Humulin, I guess they call it. Humulin,
well,
yeah.
you know, if you look at Regeneron, they're making a lot. They make a lot of arthritic therapies there, and these are genetically engineered. They're complicated because they require a biological process instead of a chemical process.
Exactly. Well, and if we look at what's happened with COVID, we've gone with ribonucleic acid, the RNA, to do the vaccine.
Yeah, but
So
a
therefore-
vaccine is a biologic.
It's
a
that's what I'm
biopharmaceutical.
saying, is that
Yeah.
we continue on with that. We're not using attenuated viruses or anything like that. We're using an RNA to do that.
So we will be the first pharmacy school to have a bioprocess center.
And it's called the Stack Family Center. And tell us about the Stacks.
So the Stack, Dave Stack is an alumni like yourself. He had a very he had a career that covered a lot of bases.
Me too. It's like I'm bam, bam, bam. It's like I have a 5-year program. I'm going to do something different in my field every 5 years.
Well, Dave started out as a retail pharmacist, and then he moved up the ladder, and then he moved over to the pharmaceutical industry. Now he runs his own company. He's the CEO of a company that makes a non-opioid painkiller.
Wow.
Which is pretty exciting
Yeah.
stuff. If you can have a non-opioid painkiller.
So have we eliminated the addictive component?
Hopefully it has. And so you have many people suffering from chronic pain, and he's hoping that his product will alleviate the pain, but also remove the addictive side.
Yeah, I mean,
that's still a
that-
small molecule. But Dave's been very committed.
Yeah,
to
well,
the
that's
He's on
and-
our board of trustees, and he gave a nice founding grant for the Bioprocess Center.
Now, this is going to be over by SUNY,
Yeah,
because
it's
I've
gonna be in
been
the
to that
SUNY
tech
Menlo
center.
College,
Amazing place.
Yeah, and we chose that location because they did a very unique thing there. They created a facility that encourages collaboration between industry and academia. What they did with the Nano College and with IBM and later Global Foundries, that's a model for academic industry interactions. And it is.
And what better way to do that?
Yeah, and so we want to do the next generation, which is pharmaceutical academic interaction.
Yeah.
And,
Now, are you planning to run the I mean, you have a component with because I've been involved in manufacturing with Sterling Drug, and I did a residency with Roche Laboratories when they came out with all their new drugs and stuff.
Right.
So I do understand a bit about the pharmaceutical industry. So are you allowing students to take that course
So they
that
can,
path?
so they can do two things. We have a master's degree in biomanufacturing and bioprocess. They can come.
I want to go back to school.
go.
I want to go back.
We're taking applications. And then we are doing short courses for people working in the industry that want to, train up and do that. But, it is a great area for pharmacists to come in. So what pharmacists bring to the table is they have a deep knowledge of the science. They have a deep knowledge of drug, the basic chemistry and biochemistry of drug interactions, of drug action, but they also know the human end of it. They know the
They're right in the middle there.
Yeah, and they're perfect. So they know that a certain formulation, you can have the most wonderful drug in the world. If you have a bad formulation, it may not be effective, or people may not want to use it. And the formulation is critical. And so that's what they bring to the table. If you look at all the other bioprocess centers, and we looked at them before we launched in the country, they are coming out of engineering schools. And there's nothing wrong with the engineering
No,
schools.
engineering, but it isn't biopharmaceutical.
But the pharmacists can add, and we're going to be collaborating. We're going to collaborate with Clarkson. We're going to collaborate with SUNY.
Oh, you're
College.
working with Clarkson here, too,
And so with the engineers are going to have a role, but the pharmacists have an important role. And that's that's really exciting about this. And this is an industry that is growing so fast that they are starved for talent.
Yeah,
And I know our students are wonderful. You know.
I know that.
They're
I know.
wonderful. And they're talented, and
they're eager.
They are eager, and they could go into this industry. You know, when you went to school, I'm guessing that everybody wanted to be a community pharmacist.
Oh, that was your goal. I had Francis J. O'Brien was the dean at that time. It was like you were being trained to open up your own pharmacy on some corner somewhere.
Right.
The other thing that I find really interesting in my early years of practice, we were not allowed at any point to tell a patient the name of the drug or what it was for.
Yeah.
I mean, can you even imagine
Those
how
days are
restrictive that was? And I always felt that was really wrong. Of course, the law was against me. I couldn't tell the patient. They'd say, "What am I taking this for?" My response had to be, "What is your doctor treating you for?" I mean, so now we've come from there to the pharmacists that can consult. And when I was teaching at the college, we were teaching our students how to consult with the patients, even before it was mandatory.
Yeah.
So we did that to teach them that. Now we've got them giving vaccines, and I get my vaccine at a pharmacy.
Right.
You know, so we have come, I don't even want to say 180 degrees. We've come, I don't know how far.
The pharmacist is really getting into a whole new set of roles.
Yeah.
And counseling roles are very important. That we call it medication therapy management.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and medication therapy management often, you know, I don't know the statistic, if someone on age 60 or above typically is on maybe 10 medications. They have to be managed. They're not always compatible. And you know, the physicians, 3 or 4 different physicians may have prescribed different things, right?
And maybe for the same thing, and it's funny.
And so somebody has to manage it.
Well, and I have a friend who sends me, she was worried about her mom. She sent me the list of drugs the mother was on. She says, "I have all these bottles. This is what she's on." She says, "Would you look at those for me?" And I said, "I'd be happy to." I found drug interactions, repetition of drugs, that she should not have been taking 2 things at the same time.
Yeah.
And I just said, "I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just going to give you this information. You can discuss it with your primary provider."
Well, so that's the sort of thing we do at Hometown Health here in Schenectady
Right.
and in Arbor Hill at Whitney Young. We do what we call drug reconciliation. And we have social workers that go into people, talk to people, and they throw all your meds into a bag. We'll take it back and usually our students are good enough that they can look at it.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll do a full reconciliation.
And they're
you know.
probably more up to date than they're real, because I always felt that way when I was teaching. It was like, oh my gosh, these guys are really on top of this stuff.
Yeah, they are. And you know, the being current is so important, and the complexity of all the drugs. And getting back to biopharmaceuticals, that's the nice thing about biopharmaceuticals. They're very complex drugs, but they tend not to have side effects. Like
Exactly,
the
because
small
now you
molecule.
can kind of tailor them.
Yeah, you could, and so if you want to talk about individualized medicine or precision medicine, the path to precision medicine is through biopharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's the way we're going. There's just no question about that.
So, you know, pharmacist is a versatile degree, as you know. It is a degree where you can go many different directions, but pharmacists can do more. And we need to make sure.
Well, they're skilled. I mean, when you think, it's not like they took a certification course out of a book, you know. No, there's a lot behind it. When I think that when I went to school, we hit the ground running. We were taking pharmacy courses from the day one.
Right.
So, I mean, and so there's so much to learn, and
There is
the
so much.
knowledge that is, with physiology and pharmacology and all of the courses in virology, all the things that are essential for today's practice.
I can see I'm preaching to the choir here.
Where's my pom-poms? Wait a minute.
But during this pandemic, we saw the pharmacists come to the forefront.
Yeah.
Right. First, they were doing the testing. So that's another part, is that the pharmacists have the sophistication to do a lot of diagnostic tests that, and that will free up the physician to do that. So we need to have pharmacists enabled to do more testing. So they were testing for COVID. Pharmacists became a surveillance, a public health service. And then when we got further on, deeper into it, they became the vaccinators.
Yeah.
Our students, our first-year students get certified to vaccinate.
That's great.
I had 200 vaccinators sitting in my backyard, and we were going into the community and helping as best we can.
Isn't that great?
So I think if you look back at this year, the stress on the system, pharmacists helped relieve the stress.
Absolutely.
And it showed how much they could do.
Yeah, so if you have a child that is trying to decide what field to go into, I can attest it's a great field. I mean, I've done education, I've owned my own pharmacy, I've worked for someone else, I've worked in industry, I've worked in government, so there's so many aspects.
And if you look at your career, and if you look at Dave Stack's career, you're not locked in. If you go down one avenue, you can switch gears and do something different. It's a very, very
Keep up the good work.
So,
Keep up, and I know that you're going to be leaving, I'm sorry to hear.
In a year.
Yeah, you got time. But anyway, thank you so much for being on, and we hope that you come on again and tell us just how all that is, the Stack Family Center for Biopharmaceutical Education and Training. I got it all in.
CBET.
Yay! Okay, great to see you. Good. Say hi to everybody for me, and Vicki especially. And I'm going to switch right over because we're going to be talking with Joe Heaney, and he is with the Alzheimer's Association. So first of all, you're the walk manager.
Yes, I am.
So you're walking.
Well, there's many parts to it. So as a walk manager, I work with individuals in our community, sponsors, businesses who want to see an end to Alzheimer's disease.
Is there going to be an end? Because, I mean, we just talked to the dean of the president of the College of Pharmacy, and they're working on drugs as well, trying to figure this out. One of the things that we are dealing with is that it's a disease that takes a person without taking them.
That's a very good way to describe it. And I always tell people the day that I am looking for a new job will be the best day of my life. I am searching for the end of that disease, and it is a road that we are on all together as a community, and I hope that one day we will get there. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and so many different types of dementia that it is really quite a journey. So we as an association work with scientists nationwide to fund different research projects and use those projects to make the next advancement.
And they're always coming out with a new drug that maybe is going to work, but it never cures it. All it does is it maybe keeps it at bay a little.
Sure. So, I'm no scientist, I'll tell you that. So
Okay.
I'm more the events guy, but.
Well, that's okay, but we can talk.
But yeah, I would say.
We read the news, don't we?
Absolutely. What I would say is that we are working very hard with all different scientists to make sure that we are placing the funding and the funds that we raise.
And that's what we're going to talk about, is
yeah,
the money
absolutely.
that you're raising and all
Absolutely.
that.
So
But we'll continue to talk. So,
Sure. So we're making sure as an association on a nationwide level, and as well as here in the Capital Region and all across New York State, that the funds that we raise with our events go to projects that have promise. They go to things that are making advancements and moving forward. So as an association, we were there to put together that first cognitive test and get that approved as one of the many ways that you use to identify something such as Alzheimer's
and they
disease.
do. I mean, I when I go to, I went to my physical, and the first thing they said, okay, I'm going to give you 3 words. I can remember them right to this day. One was sunrise. I'm sorry, here I missed it. Sunrise. banana and chair. Okay, I mean, that was like 8 months ago. And I remember those three words. And so, and I'm saying, well, why are you asking that, you know? And she says, well, we just want to see if you, so, 10 minutes later, they asked, well, what are the 3 words? So, and I can still remember 'em. So, and then she drew this clock on a round circle, and she said,
Absolutely.
put 10 minutes after 11. And I'm sitting there, and I'm starting to laugh a little bit, and I'm going, you wouldn't want to do this to a 14-year-old.
Yeah, the way things have changed,
So
absolutely.
I think I'm doing pretty darn
Yeah,
good that I
it
can
sounds
tell
like
where
you
10
are.
after 11 is.
Absolutely, that sounds
But they
great.
they can't tell time with it. So what kind of a test are you going to use next for them?
That's a good question. How will we modify that? But it's definitely great to hear that those over 65 are getting that cognitive
Yeah, they
exam.
do. They do that automatically anymore.
That's awesome. Awesome
Yeah.
to hear. And,
Yeah.
and we're really trying to work to break down that stigma that the disease has had. So it's really an awesome organization to be a part of.
Okay, so now you've got this walk coming up.
Yes.
And when is this walk coming up?
So we have several walks coming up. Our largest walk and the walk that kicks off our season is September 25th. And
Okay.
that is at the crossings of Colony.
That's
Our-
a great place to walk.
Oh, it's beautiful. So we will start our registration at 10 a.m.
Okay.
and registration's open for about an hour. We've kind of modified our procedures.
You make it like
this
a
year.
party there? I mean,
It's a beautiful event. So we honor different individuals
Okay.
from the community, and together we build what's called a promise garden. And each individual holds, I can't talk today.
That's
apparently.
okay. You're fine. You're doing good. I understand everything you're saying.
Each individual that comes to the event and is registered receives what's called a promise garden flower, and those flowers each represent your connection to the cause. So to give you an idea, our purple flower represents those who have lost someone to Alzheimer's or a different type of dementia. Our yellow flower represents those who act as a caregiver for an individual.
It's
who
got to
has-
be tough being a caregiver
Oh,
because
it is.
because they've done a number of films, and I haven't seen the Anthony Hopkins films, which I really want to
haven't seen
see.
that yet.
Have you seen it, Father?
Not yet.
But I heard it's very good, but it does address the dementia and
Absolutely.
yeah. So I've seen films like that, and you see the loss. I mean, I know they're actors, but it goes on in real life. I mean, the loss that one day the person knows who you are, and the next day they don't have a clue who you are.
Sure.
It's got to be difficult. Not only that, but there's that aspect of their mind slipping. But there's also that physical aspect towards the end where they don't want to eat, they don't drink, and everything like that. So that whole, when you talk about treatment and discovery, there's a whole realm that's involved there. So you're raising money for what?
So as an organization, the way we use our funds, we offer free education programs for our community at large. So in northeastern New York, we serve 17 counties, so from Columbia and Green.
17 counties.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's a
quite
big area.
stretch. So we do a lot of volunteer-powered services, which is really awesome, and we have a small but mighty staff of about 20 individuals. So we serve from Columbia and Green counties up to the Canadian border along the northeastern part of New York.
That's a long walk.
Yeah,
If you did it.
Luckily, we get to drive.
Maybe you should do a walk through all the counties.
Yeah, that would take a minute. But we offer those free education programs, information and referral.
Do you have a respite program? No.
We do.
You do have one.
We don't personally, our organization doesn't personally have a respite program, but we work with St. Peter's Healthcare.
Okay.
And all different individual organizations in the area. to
Because it's
provide
got to
that.
be tough if they're living at home, and, it's got to be tough on a caregiver. They've
Yeah.
got to be able to get out and go to their own doctor's appointments.
Absolutely, and I personally lived through that with my father. My mother was diagnosed at age 52.
Oh, 52?
52. She had early onset frontal temporal dementia, and so she
That
unfortunately
is so,
passed
but
at
I hear that
59.
it can happen even at 30.
That would be called early onset. Anything before 60 would be called early onset. So it's really, when that diagnosis came, we worked with the Alzheimer's Association, and it was absolutely fantastic. At that point, I was a volunteer myself.
Look at you now.
So, and
Yeah.
now I'm on board, and I'm here for the mission and ready to create these events to bring our community together and really, really make an impact.
Yeah, and to raise the money. Now, does that money stay locally, or does that go to the national? How does that work?
So that's a very good question. Locally, everything funnels back to our home office in Chicago, but
Okay.
we, as an organization, serve all 17 counties
Okay.
that we serve in northeastern.
So you
North
have
Dakota.
enough funds to deal with all of that?
Absolutely. So,
Okay.
so it's all kind of managed. We have a wonderful budget where we deliver the programs and services, information and referral, work with doctors to do education programs. We're doing things virtually now, as well as beginning in person. And we're kind of navigating
Well,
the system
we're
with
dealing
COVID.
with, you know, we,
Yeah, it's always an adventure.
day by day.
Absolutely. So we offer those programs in every single county that we have, whether they are virtual or in person, or volunteer-driven services. We work to make sure that it is available to everyone. So we appreciate being on shows like the Capital Region Today, where we are able to share that information with people and have them reach out to us. And,
So
and
how
let us
how does someone sign up for this walk? If they
So-
want to join, so suppose, you know, I know someone with Alzheimer's and I'd really like to support it. How do I do that?
Absolutely. An easy way is to go to alz.org/walk, and you'll be able to find the walk closest to you just by typing in your zip code, and then it'll bring up the 5 closest walks to you.
Okay, so you have an option.
Absolutely.
But the
And
crossings is so nice.
The crossings is going to be beautiful this
Yeah.
year. It's definitely going to be an adventure, and we like to promise people a beautiful 70-degree day, and we hope to deliver that every year. It's been good so far. This will be my
So
third
far,
year.
so good. Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that you've had some successful walks. And do they have to pay? How do you raise your money?
So it is free to register for the event. We do encourage people to raise funds.
You want them to have sponsors, is that the idea?
It doesn't necessarily have to be sponsors. You're able to link to Facebook and social media. We find that people who join or start a walk page and then share it on their social media raise up to 3 times more than
Okay.
they would normally. But a lot of times we have items that we have people sell for a suggested donation. It's never a actual sale. It's for a suggested donation. They can put that towards their walk team. Sometimes people do different community events. We've had 50/50s at different community concerts in the park. And
Okay,
then,
so you've got different
yeah, that's
models
what I do.
for,
I coach,
yeah.
I coach and work with people on how to really make the most impact for their efforts. So I'm working with a few people now. There's a golf outing, I believe, on the 17th.
Oh, good.
That's going on. So we have lots of individuals all over.
Well, and to raise money for research, that's the big thing, is the research on it, because there's nothing we can do to stop it, I mean, that we know of. Doesn't mean that we won't discover something that will increase the brain flow or do whatever it takes to make the cerebrum work better.
Absolutely.
And then even if they do get it, that it's slowed down. I mean, anything to have them a better quality of life during this transition, and for the caregivers. So I applaud you for what you're doing in the organization, and I hope that we will be able to bring some of your experts on to talk about the disease itself and the treatments. So that would be really great. And Joe, it was such a pleasure to meet you today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. We're going to be talking about mindfulness now, and we're switching over to our next guest. Nicholas Clay, you are a mindfulness coach. What does a mindfulness coach do?
Yes. So a mindfulness coach is someone who helps someone become present, shortly said. And I can elaborate a little further on that. It's helping people get out of their own mind, helping people clear what's holding them back. Most people don't live present. They don't live in the here and now. They live in their mind. We get stuck there.
Well, but there's always something back there that's holding you back for something. Oh, I can't do that because my father always told me I could never do that.
Right. So there's things like that, traumas, certain triggers that get developed, and there's just thinking in general. So we're either stuck into the past, reminiscing about what went right or what didn't go right or what we liked or didn't like.
But you can learn from the past.
You can. You're not going to apply that very well if you're stuck there. Because if you look at what is real, it's right now, and it's all we have. Right?
This is it.
That's it.
This is it.
Yet most people don't live here. Most people either live in some perceived future.
You're absolutely right. I know one person who every time I talked to her on the phone was like living in the past,
Yeah.
always talking about what somebody did to her years ago or what this, and it's like, get out of that mindset.
Yeah, and people get stuck, and a lot of that is because you can see most people, they're not happy. And so if you're not happy with now, then you're going to go elsewhere and distract yourself. This is why entertainment is so big, because we're always trying to get away from our lives.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Vacation, because we have to get away. What are we getting away from? If you have a life constructed that you need to get away from, well, there's an issue there that we're overstepping. And so I help people help them happy with being present and show them what in their life is causing the stress and what's having them be unhappy, and actually showing them how to complete it, how to clear it. See, a lot of people, when we do these kind of talks, they'll go through something, they'll experience emotion, they look at it, and they don't feel relief. And then people get turned off by it because they're like, I talked to somebody, or I don't want to do that again, or it's just going to make me feel bad. There's very few resources that actually show people how you can actually complete this and release it, so it's not there anymore. Right? I can say on my own personal testimony, I have not experienced a negative emotion in over a year. Most people can't go a week without experiencing some type of frustration.
So you don't read the news, is that it? Just checking.
Well, that's a very fair point. I do not watch much news. Now, I subscribe to other news resources that I trust and I like and that are less opinionated and that are more just showing me what it is.
That's how I like my news.
Yeah, the entertainment aspects of the news.
Telling you how to think is bad.
Exactly.
I don't want anybody to tell me how to think. Just give me the facts,
Right.
and I'll deal with those. But what created this career? I don't want to, or calling.
Yeah.
What created this in you?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that at one time you were living in the past.
Oh, yes, I was very much not present. I had a very strong and very high ego, and I had a lot of anger and unpleasantness that I never enjoyed. So it's a bit of a story which we don't have time for. The gist of it is, after being recommended a handful of reading materials that I gravitated towards very naturally and felt like I had a unique understanding of, and then from there just putting myself around great people, seeking out those kind of mindsets where I was led to further and further resources. And then I started seeing in myself the ability to not only understand this stuff and to apply it. And then when you start to see that real effect, that change in yourself, like any entrepreneur, you look at people that start their own businesses, it's usually because they found something very significant for themselves
Right.
that they wish to share with others. So the short answer to your question is just that. I found something extremely significant that has had a lasting effect of removing this toxicity. And I can say,
And it is toxicity.
oh, very much
It
so.
holds you back. It keeps you from taking that next step forward because you got this little thing in your head telling you, oh, you shouldn't do that, or maybe so-and-so won't like it if you do that. I mean, you have, and I love the fact that you say living in the here and now. And I'm going to tell you one thing that really bugs me. Okay, can I tell you what bugs me?
Absolutely, that's what I do.
What bugs me is when I see people walking on the street with their cell phone.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day. The
Yeah.
birds are singing. There's 3 kids over there playing hopscotch. There's a beautiful flower garden over. They don't see nothing.
No.
All they see is what's next
Right.
on this little gizmo.
So
This is not a gizmo. It's my mask. So anyway,
yeah, let's expand a little bit
but
further
so
on
that bugs me. And I go to a dinner, and I see 3 people sitting there with their phones. You're in the here and now with people.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Yeah. So that same thing you're explaining on how they're not here because they're on their phone, that's exactly what happens when we're in thought. You're missing the same aspect of reality when you're not here. It's like if we were to shoot this filming and you were to take out, let's say you left 1 frame in and took out 15, and left 1 in and took out 15.
Exactly.
That's how they're going through life.
With
And they're missing out. And that's why when people recall what they've done in life or events, it's very hollow. It's missing the granularness because most people are not experiencing life. Most people are thinking about their life. And there's a very real difference.
Thinking about
Either
past or future.
Either or.
Either
In
or.
general, they're thinking.
Okay.
They don't have an actual experience because an experience comes from being present. That's consciousness. Right? Consciousness is experience. Well, if you're thinking, then you're missing out on that experience. You're missing out on the birds, on the grass, on the kids playing. You're not here. So if I ask you, how was your day yesterday? What do most people say? That was good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? You know nothing. And you don't get to know people. People don't share because they're protecting themselves and they're not there in the first place.
Yeah, you bring really, I've never really discussed mindfulness with anyone except for you. It's sort of one of those things. But it's really important, and I understand what you're saying about living in the here and now. I mean, because that's been my policy pretty much. I mean, when I do an interview, I'm in the here and now right now. I'm not thinking about what am I going to ask next. No, I listen to you.
Yeah.
What are you saying, and how can I follow up with a conversation with you? Because I think it's more important. And it was funny, early in my career, I was watching someone who did a show like me, and she had her little card there like this with her questions on it. The person came on and said something very profound, something that had just happened in their life that was really like, oh my gosh, that would be my first response. Oh my gosh, tell me about that. She went on to her next question.
Right. She wasn't there.
And that kind of hit me right, like, are you not listening?
No, she wasn't.
Don't you listen to people? Is it always in the back, what your next question is going to be? And they say that even in conversations with people in a group. You'll say something, I'll go, oh, I want to ask him that. So all you do is focus on that question you want to ask, that you miss the rest of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. And, furthermore, it also affects our communication. And see, when we have these unaddressed traumas or negativity within us, our communication also is less authentic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we start speaking very conceptually, we're kind of vague. Even if you listen to people, they don't even complete their sentences. They don't even finish the thought. Because most of what we speak about, if you introduce something, it could be put back on yourself. And so people become very concerned on what they say. And you can tell what people are willing to go to and what they're not, just based on how they communicate, what they talk about, the tonality. You spend 20 or 30 minutes with someone and you can get a lot about them and how their life is. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Is it me?
No.
No, I'm okay. He's analyzing me, and here I am sitting here talking. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, I'm kidding with you, of course. I'm not worried about that.
No, I can sense that.
But the thing is, how successful do you feel you are? And if someone would come to you,
Yeah.
okay, I'm burdened with all this,
Yeah.
and I need to talk to somebody about it. Okay, you're not a psychologist. You're not
Correct.
there to treat anybody. You're there to kind of expand their knowledge of their own environment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I go to you and I say, I need some help,
Yeah.
and I'm not therapeutically, got mental issues. I just need to burden this off there.
Yeah.
How many sessions would it take to kind of get them thinking in I want to say the right direction, but that sounds kind of judgmental, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
I did. So 2 questions there. How effective do I think I am? Extremely. How many sessions would it take for that? Generally, for just healing what's there, in 5 to 10.
Oh,
And
really?
these are hour sessions. Yeah. This
Wow,
doesn't-
it takes that long.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what's there.
Yeah, what their issues are.
Yeah. And when I say 5 to 10, I'm not talking about the one thing that they came to me with.
No, because you're going to discover other things.
Right. I'm talking about them leaving clear within themselves, having a deeper understanding of themselves that they've never had before, being aware of things that they never understood, and understanding what awareness is and what our ego is and how that plays effect. And so from 5 to 10 sessions, they now leave with the tools that they can ongoingly have a satisfied, fulfilled, and happy life. So essentially, I work myself out of a job. See,
Well, what did we have? We talked about Alzheimer's a while ago, and he says the best thing would be if I lost my job.
and when he said that, I loved that because that's the same thing that I'm doing. My biggest goal is to work myself out of a career because my biggest goal is people first. And I think a lot.
But you know what? There's never going to be an ending for you. You know that.
Realistically, yeah, more than likely not.
Not because
However,
there's
that's-
people that are carrying burdens that, and like I say, I was very close to people in my family that just could not let go.
Yeah.
And I've had bumps in my life, but I've always learned, and this may be counter to what you're saying, I never look back.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. I'm done with that. I'm going on. Because I think if you keep going back over and over and over, it doesn't do you any good.
If there's something to go back to, then it's good to look at it, and when you can
Analyze it,
when
maybe.
when you can be properly guided to complete it.
Yeah.
The reason why most people struggle is because they look back, yet they don't have the tools.
There's no resolution.
Yeah, they don't even know what I'm saying right now. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And that's why what I do, you can consider transformative learning. Most of what we have in the world is cognitive learning. So you have a knowing
Yeah,
of it.
of course.
Yeah.
We need that.
Agreed. What I teach is experiential learning. Right? And so that happens by actually going through the session. See, I can tell you everything, all the tools right now, or I can talk to someone who's having emotional distress. It doesn't do anything. It's having the experience of it, of going through it, and applying it in the world. And that's what a lot of people fall short. They'll read a book and say, well, this is great stuff, but if you don't apply it,
You got to apply it.
right? And
Yeah.
it's having that guidance to help people along on how to apply it, and then coming back and see what worked, what didn't work. And you could think of it as it's getting people centered.
And so what they do is they do their homework
Yes.
after.
I
I
do
mean,
give
I use
homework.
that. I use that in
No,
quotes.
I do give homework. So it's
Yeah,
funny you
so
say
they
that.
do their homework, and then they come back and relate to you, well, this worked, but I can't get past this portion of it. And then you'll kind of guide them through that. So this perhaps is, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody lived in the here and now?
Well, it's most certainly possible. And will it happen within my lifetime? Probably not. Can it happen? Yes, if we want it.
Yeah.
See, right now, we don't display a want to.
No,
Yeah.
no. And of course, the news doesn't help, you know.
Well, it's inherently negative.
Yeah,
And so on that topic, if we actually understood the implications of mental health and how toxic the news can be and how that influences people.
Oh, terrible.
And if we actually knew the severity and depth, I have a high degree of confidence that the news wouldn't be the way it is. I don't think anyone actually knows how destructive that is and how we're influenced by
they
it.
do talk about it. They do talk about it. They tell you to have a no news day or,
Yeah.
you know, to take a mental health day by not listening to the news and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like to kind of know what's going, of course, I'm in the medical field, so I'm always kind of looking at what's going on with vaccines and things like that. But that's just me because I'm interested in that.
And
So
it's not what they report, it's how
it's
they
how it's,
report it. It's
well,
the
when they
language.
tell you, when they put emotion behind it,
Right,
and they're trying to influence your emotion,
yeah.
I think that is horrible, horrible to do. Nicholas, it's such a pleasure to meet you
You as well, yeah.
and to learn a little bit about mindfulness, and I will look at it in a whole new way now.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, that's really great. And they can contact you. You do have a website. We've been putting that up there.
Yes.
One World, being one world, right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we'll do that. But I want to tell the people who's coming on next week, because we've got a great lineup there. We have the Circle Theater Players coming on, and we're going to be talking about weekend comedy, and that's over at the Sand Lake Center for the Arts. And it's going to be a great play. So anyways, and then we're going to be talking about the Glenville Oktoberfest. Would you believe the Oktoberfest is coming along? I know we're in August, but we're going to be talking about October. We're going to be talking about the Logan Strong Foundation, as well as the Schenectady Historical Society will be here to talk about their great craft fair, art and craft fair. Got to go to it. Such a great event to go to. So much to see and do. And then we're going to be talking to one of my very favorite friends and leaders of Things of My Very Own, which she does a fabulous job. So we've got a great show coming up, and we do hope that you'll join us. Great things going on. Remember, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and you know that's my motto. So take care, and hope to see you again next week.